first one I wrote is, once you clear up all the drama in your life, go outside and meditate. The first three deep breaths calm the whole body. You're mindful when meditating, such as knowing your back is straight and your shoulders are relaxed. And the four techniques of breathing. The first method is knowing that you're breathing. The second method is the counting method, which is in breath one, out breath one. Um, the second method is analyzing the temperature of the breath that we're breathing. And the third method is the in breath bud, out breath bow. Another note I took is study any problems you have. For example, if I have anger issues, study anger. The more you practice meditation, the easier it becomes. And those are the notes I took.
Hmm. Let me take a look here real quick. Did you practice meditation at all this week?
Yes. I tried the temperature one, or
Mm.
when you're breathing in and breathing out, you
Mm.
have to figure out what temperature the breath is. And I didn't understand the fourth one, which
Mm.
was the in breath bud, out breath tau.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's okay.
because I kind of need help with that one because in the video, like, you didn't really explain how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and you said it was your favorite, so I'm kind of hoping you can explain it to me.
Yeah, sure. Let me take a look at this real quick. I haven't touched this iPad in a very long time, so I decided to think on its own. So, so I'm trying to wake this thing up real quick. One thing I did notice, okay, it doesn't have the thread that you and I were texting each other. The one thing I noticed that you're new to Buddhism, and do you want some water?
No.
Okay, you good? All right. The one thing with people who are new into Buddhism is that they're very curious. You're very curious in some of the things that you researched, like
Yes.
the realms and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I made the mistake of jumping directly into the clinical part of Buddhism. So, so I'll try to address as many questions as I can for you, because I think that once the questions have been answered, then you're more confident in the practice, more confident and more in trusting the practice more, because there's so many teachings and so many questions in Buddhism. It's hard to narrow it down why we do what we do. The Butto technique. Butto means Buddha in Thailand.
Yep.
Just means that guy. Butto. And so in breath but, out breath to. So as we say in Butto, we actually remind ourselves of the first technique, which is breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Because the Buddha is one which knows. He knows exactly what's happening. Um, Further into the analyzing of the mindfulness of the breath, we also note if the breath is short, if it's long, if it's shallow, if it's quick, if it's slow. It's so much to do with the breath that no one actually stopped to analyze it. But the Butto technique was something that I was trained extensively the longest out of the other three. The other three is new to, you guys. Um, so yeah, I did that for 16 years, mindfulness of the breath, using the Butto technique. Very boring.
So,
That's why I
so,
gave you guys the other three, so it's more
so,
to do.
so, how does it work exactly? Do you just say boot toe?
Yeah, in breath, but out breath, toe.
So,
In your
so,
mind. You don't have to say it
oh,
out loud.
so you just breathe in, and we breathe in the first one, you say boot,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one tau,
Toe. Yeah.
toe,
Mm.
and that's it?
Mm-hmm. But toe. But what it internally means is one which knows. So that in the moment I know that I'm breathing in the moment I know that I'm breathing out. breathing in short. I know I'm breathing in short, breathing in long, or exhaling long, breathing out long. I know I'm breathing out long. It's the training of using the mindfulness of the breath helps you to be mindful about everything, right? But it starts with the evidence being here. This is the direct evidence using the breath as the object of meditation. Mhm. Some people, they do all sorts of things. They drive and they don't even know that they're driving, because as they're driving, they're thinking about something else. So they're not mindful of all the stop signs that they're running across, street lights.
Okay.
Let me review the videos that I sent you to make sure that I'm on point, did not miss anything, because that wasn't a lot of notes for 3 videos. Did you practice any other ones? The 3? Just the 4th one you didn't practice?
Just the 4th one.
Okay. Did you do any additional research in Buddhism this week, just for fun?
I did. Like, I watched one of your podcasts, and you said that wanting something causes suffering. Does that mean I have to stop wanting stuff?
I've actually changed my policy on that recently. It's not within the American people to stop wanting. It's not within the human condition to stop wanting. I was reminded of that by a professor this week. There's a lot of things that needs to be reminded. Here's the wisdom behind wanting. When you want something, when you want one thing or too much things all the time, incessantly, meaning nonstop, is the continuous pursuit of whatever it is that you're pursuing. The wisdom is that caution yourself, because it could be the downfall for you. I think that people continuously want to ensure their survival. Well, let me see here. Wanting things is a good thing. Wanting a better job, wanting a better pay, wanting higher education, wanting peace is a good thing. Wanting tranquility, serenity is a good thing. In Buddhism, we try to define our wants, to know which is good wants and which is not so good for us. And the good appropriate desire wants would be education, spiritual attainment, peace, tranquility, serenity, not doing harm to other people, wanting not to touch intoxicating substance. Those are good wants, good desires. The bad desires would be, I want to party, I want to go shopping a lot, I want to buy all the things. I desire to buy more houses, more cars, more, accumulating more. And the more you accumulate, the more it just becomes this snowball effect. And it could catch up to you financially. It can make you broke. It could destroy your happiness. It could destroy your relationship with people. There's a lot of greedy people out there. Have you met some?
No, I don't think I have.
So you don't have to stop wanting everything. You just have to know, what is it that I want, to what extent that I want it. What am I willing to do to get it? And does it violate the precept? Does it violate the common goal in Buddhism, which is not to kill, steal, lie, cheat, sexual misconduct, and intoxicating substance. If it doesn't fall into those categories, then you're on a good path. But if it touches any of that, then it's not a good thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any other questions that you have this week?
Um,
You have a lot of curious questions. I noticed last talk we had. I just wanted to satisfy all of the questions so that you don't wonder as you're meditating. Students who are curious into Buddhism, usually they wonder a lot in their mind, like the rebirth realms, karma.
how does karma work in Buddhism? Because I always learned that karma is when you do good things happen to you. If you do bad things happen to you. Does it work like that in Buddhism?
Mhm. Well, I'll let Venerable Lee touch up on this because this is some basic stuff and he's in training. So we'll let him speak a little bit on it. And wherever I think he has fallen short on the explanation, I'll jump in.
So you're basically asking how or where our karma comes from through actions or things like that with karma, correct?
No. The question was, I grew up learning karma is when you do good things happen to you. If you do bad things happen to you. I was wondering if it's the same thing in Buddhism.
So karma, from the studies that I've done, is karma can come from, and you were asking about rebirth realms, karma can come from a past life as well in Buddhism, and it could be something that because with karma, when it comes, nobody's ever really sure when it's going to come. You could do something bad now, you could kill somebody, you could harm another living being, you could steal something, and karma may not come to fruition immediately or within the next day, it could come down the road. Nobody's ever sure when that karma is going to come, whether it's good or bad. And karma as well, let's say you harm a lizard or you kill a mosquito. If you ever woken up with back pain, neck pain, any sort of physical pain, that could be karma from killing another being, a lizard, a mosquito, an ant. Is that making sense?
Yes.
So, let's see here. And bad karma coming is the same as good karma coming as far as timeline. Nobody can ever be sure when it's going to come. So, you can do good deeds and your karma may not come immediately. But a big thing behind karma is that at some point the bill will always come due. Whether it's in this lifetime, the next lifetime, or coming from a past lifetime. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, a lot of people, well, some people may think that karma, do good things and good things will happen quickly. It's not always the case. I have actually one real world example of karma that the more you give, I noticed, the more you help other people, the more you give, the more good karma you're going to get. And sometimes certain things happen that are unexplainable. So I had a car, and when I first met Venerable Jidao, I was helping him out and trying to do everything that I could and helping a lot of other people out at the same time. And sometimes when you stop doing bad things too, as well as helping other people, certain things happen that you can't explain. My van was having problems, and I stopped doing some things and started helping a little bit more and trying to be more generous. And the problems I was having with my van just stopped. And I actually asked Venerable Jidao about it, and he was like, "It's probably your karma." And when things are going on in our life, good or bad, we can think back and be, what did I do in my life? How has this led to what's going on now as far as karma? The bad things, the good things, have the good outweigh the bad? Do you have any other questions as far as karma? Am I missing anything, or do you have any?
No, you explained it good.
So you understand it pretty well now.
I understand.
So I just want to reemphasize, number one, the Buddha have already said this over and over again, which is one of the things that we're not going to be able to fully grasp in its totality and comprehensiveness of it is the workings of karma. We won't be able to know the entirety process, the mechanics of it. Just like learning how a car works, we know how a car works in its entire parts and every parts and functions of a car. Karma is a little bit more mysterious than that. So that's first thing. So I mean, a lot of people out there really try to study karma, down to the core of it, but very difficult. It is because in our past lives, whatever we did in our past lives will carry on over in this lifetime. What we do in this lifetime can also carry on over to our next lifetime, the good things and the bad things that we have done. It is important that in this lifetime, the ability to hear and understand the teachings of the Buddha leads us to live a life of generosity. Generosity does not mean to just give money or clothes or anything that you own. Generosity means that you dedicate your body, which is your actions, holding the door for someone, your speech, saying nice things to people, and not judge them, and not scold them, or yell at them, or cuss at them, and think good thoughts about human beings, because they're suffering too, just like we are. So we develop a heart of compassion and understanding, so therefore we live a life of generosity.
So what happens to bad people when they die? Do they get reborn as a human or as something else?
How do you define bad?
Like evil people that do crimes like scam people or, hurt people or rob a store or, may they murder an innocent person, like evil people?
They're most likely going to take an unfavorable rebirth realm. Perhaps due to their greed, they will reborn into the hungry ghost realm. The hell realm, the hungry ghost realm. Those are the most likely because of the severity and intensity of the nature of their crimes, both in Buddhism and in conventional definition of society's rules.
So when they die, they go to a place, like they go to hell?
Difficult to imagine what hell looks like, but we have illustrations from different countries. Like in my country, when you lie, they actually have these people in a pot, humans in a boiling pot, and then there's the devil that pulls their tongue out really long, like stretchable tongue, and they do really mean things like cut off their tongue. So there's a lot of illustrations in many countries. It's dependent on cultures, on how they view hell. I haven't seen the hell realm myself when I meditate, nor when I go to sleep. Difficult, but it's not a pleasant place. One can render a conclusion that it is not a pleasant place to go. It's obviously not going to be a place with air conditioning and a cushion for one to sit there and meditate peacefully.
And what if someone who has done bad things in the past, but you become a good person, and if that person dies, do they stay on Earth?
It would be in their hope that they get to reborn into a favorable realm. And that could mean another human realm, what we call another chance. One more chance to achieve enlightenment. And one of the evidence that we have is how much we suffer now give us clue of what we did in our past life. If we suffer physically, Then we realize in our past life we may have been a hunter. We used to hunt living beings, and so we cause physical pain to them. So therefore, in this lifetime, we experience a lot of physical pain. Okay, so I always tell people, look at the way how you suffer now. If you suffer financially, because in the past you owed people money, you never paid back, and then you died before you got to pay back all of your debts. So in this lifetime, you owe even more because of the debt that rolled over. Okay? So there are many explanations as to how a person suffers in this lifetime. The hope is that once we have seen it, how much we suffer in this lifetime, that we start making corrective actions. Don't fall into debt as much as we can. Try to be independent on our own. Do good. Serve the sick, serve the poor, serve the people. Try to give more and take less. The key here is give more and take less. It's the most simplest way to think about it.
And where do people that are sad and depressed and are suicidal, where do they go when they die?
Suicide is a desire for non-existent, meaning they don't want to exist anymore. So therefore they go into an unfavorable rebirth realm. Sometimes they think that their problems in this lifetime is unbearable, cannot stand to live another day because of the debts, because of the breakups, because they got bad grades in school, they got dumped by their girlfriends or a divorce. They've lost everything. They've lost their house, their cars, and they realize that no one's gonna respect me. No one's gonna. I haven't been seen, been heard, been respected. So what is the point of living? People try to justify that in their head. That's wrong thinking, wrong thoughts. It is not right thoughts. It is not right view in the Noble Eightfold Path, and does not fall under the noble truths. So therefore, if they take their life, they're most likely going to take an unfavorable rebirth realm.
And if people that are like anxious, stressed out all the time, nervous, have like are really like they have anxiety,
Mm.
what about them when they die? Do they get reborn as a human?
The state of mind of anxiousness isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the greed that we're concerned about. Anxiety is not knowing what's going to happen next. Let me think about that for a second. About the act of excessive worries. No, but it could carry over the tendencies, the habits of anxious thinking can carry over into your next rebirth. Uh, that you don't want. You want to be able to resolve that state of mind, that conditioning, the causes and conditioning of that before you pass away. You want to be able to pass away peacefully without any anxious thoughts or depressive thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it could roll over because it hasn't been resolved in one lifetime, so therefore it could roll over into the next rebirth of, This is why we have the examples and evidence we have is babies who are born and they're very attached onto their mothers or their caregiver because they have anxiety that the caregiver might abandon them or leave them. Some are more attached than others, just like some pets, like some dogs and cats, people's pets. If you leave them alone for a while, then they start freaking out. They don't wonder where their owner is. And I would assert that due to their previous lives, their anxiety was not, their anxiousness was not resolved. So it just carries over.
And what about people that are like not bad, but like they're angry all the time, they're always in a bad mood? Can they get reborn as a human?
It depends on how much good they've done. The scale is kind of like a scale of good things and bad things that they've done. So, you know, like smart people get angry very easily, you know, just because they think fast. They jump to conclusion a little bit faster than other people, so they don't really give their mind a chance to weigh in on what's happening, why is this happening. So they just jump to conclusions, they judge fast. So smart people get angry fast. But smart people can also know how to do a lot of good. So this is a smart person that gets angry a lot, but they do a lot of good for humanity. Then the scale of karmic debts and karmic distributions will have to weigh in and out. And again, this is the mechanics, right? This is the mechanics where the Buddha says you won't be able to know exactly how it weighs out. But if the smart person understands that, they will continuously give until their last dying breath, so that they realize that it is an overwhelming amount of giving for the workings of karma to figure out where I'm going to go in my next life. And this is evident in Southeast countries who are Buddhist. They give a lot. I mean, you just see women go up to the monasteries and literally take off 24 karat gold bangles and earrings and all of the most precious, most expensive items that you can imagine to give to the monasteries in hope for a favorable rebirth in the next realm.
Another question I had, is Buddhism and Hinduism similar to each other?
Buddhism came from Hinduism. So there was a guy named Shiva, and the Buddha took one of 112 items that Shiva was teaching, and mindfulness, which is, you know, the meditations part, and he emphasized on it in details. So Hinduism is a very rich history, rich practice, many types of practice, and the Buddha got it from Shiva, studied from Shiva, and then expanded on what we have now is Buddhism.
Um, so Buddhism came from India, right? Are there Buddhists in India? Okay.
I would probably say statistically the Hindu world probably outweighs the Buddhist world. But that's also subject to change, and it may not be accurate. Any other questions you can think of?
I can't think of any others.
You're happy with the answers you have received?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you, all right, so moving on back to the clinical part of this, were you able to write down your thoughts and feelings this week besides taking notes?
Let me see.
Just on a day-to-day basis.
Um,
You don't have to read them to me, I just wanted to know.
the only like thing I wrote that's new is be free from anxiety, bad thoughts, and yeah, that's it.
So over the past week, you didn't write anything every day? Did you write something down?
I would write down something that comes to my mind. So if a bad thought happens, I would write that down. I would write down bad thoughts that come to my mind. So if I think of something from the past, I would write it down. If I think of something from the future, I would write it down. But this week, I didn't really write anything new except for that.
Anything happen that disturbs your emotions this week? Anxiety, depression, anything that recycling of the past?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I'll think of the past, like some bad stuff that's happening in the past, and it'll come to my mind. And yeah, that's what I was really thinking this week, is just some thoughts that happened in the past will come to my mind.
Did it stay there long?
Um, no, like when I would meditate, I feel like the thoughts slowly started going away, and I was slowly focusing more on the present. Because I feel like the more I do it, the less and less it comes to my mind. So,
Is the
yeah.
bad is the bad stuff that's coming into your mind, is it the same every week?
Yes, it is the same every week.
Is it the bullying?
Uh, it's really, yes, it's the bowling, and it's mostly stuff that happened in high school and middle school. So,
Stuff that you've shared before, or is it something I don't know about?
I think it's the same stuff I shared before.
I just want to know why it's still there, and why is it coming up over and over again?
Yeah, so it's keep thinking about the the times I got bullied in high school. Um, thinking about some teachers I didn't like back then. Um,
Did you ever wrote in details about what happened in the past?
um,
Like how you were bullied, what they said
yes,
to you?
but it's personal. So
But you've written it down
yes,
before?
yes,
You have. Has it gotten better after you've written it down?
yes, it has.
Mm.
But yeah, it's. I feel like it's mostly stuff that happened in high school and middle school.
Mm.
Because I had a really bad time in high school and middle school. So.
Mm. In those 7 days, how many of those pops up in one day? Does it pop up like 3 times, 4 times, and how long does it last?
Oh, it's like throughout the entire day. Like I'll be in my room just watching TV, and that thought that happened back in senior year will happen, or when um, or when I'm just outside taking care of the dogs. I might think about it like that, or when I'm on my phone looking at the apps on my phone, I might think of that stuff. Or sometimes when I'm out, like somewhere, um, I might think about it. But
The kids who were mean to you, do you wish that they were arrested?
to be honest, I wish bad things would happen to them.
Hmm. You wish that they don't exist anymore?
Uh, no, like I wish something, like I wish, like
You can share your fantasies. We all have fantasies.
I wish something like bad happened to them after high school, like maybe I don't know, they got arrested or something.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever tracked them down to see where they are now in life? What they're doing?
Um, to be honest, I have.
Now, these things are normal, right? It's normal behavior.
To stalk someone?
Well, the elements of stalking is not normal, but it's normal to realize that someone did something bad to us and then wanting to know where they are so they can't hurt us, and wanting to know what they're doing so that they don't occupy us in their mind and come after us. Mm. But stalking is an obsessive behavior and constantly wanting to know what they're doing all the time. and taking great measures in obtaining that information, like, parking in front of their house. At that point, then you become the predator, not the victim. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, so you have information of where they're at, what they're doing, yeah?
Like I would just go on Facebook, type in their first and last name, and I find them that way.
Mhm. You still wish bad things happened to them?
To be honest, no. To be honest, no, I don't. I just go on there and see what they're up to. So
Have you forgiven them for what they did to you?
no.
How come? How so?
Oh, because it was just like basic bullying, like calling me names or stuff like that. So I wouldn't forgive someone that's mean to me. Is the thing.
Do you know why they bullied you?
I guess maybe it's because our no, I don't know why they would, but I don't know why.
Have you ever researched into bullying, the behavior of bullying, why people bully other people before?
No, but I think I know why, because they find it fun, satisfying, they enjoy doing it. Like they enjoy the negative feedback. Like they like that stuff.
Okay. So me telling you is too easy, and I wanted you to discover the root cause of bullying yourself. Because what we're working towards here is it's easy to forgive once you understand the root cause of the problem, of the why. Once you understand the why they do what they do, I just want to see how your heart is moved towards compassion or not. I'm measuring your anger and your capacity for compassion based on your research into bullying. It seems like it's been occupying your mind majority of the time.
Yes.
And the
It has.
and the inability to forgive at this time.
Yes.
And it is unforgivable at this time because I believe there's lacking information to the root cause of these people. So your homework is to look up why people. Let me put on here. Let me test Google's real quick just to see. Oh God, no. Why do kids bully in high school? Oh, there it is. All right, good. Okay, I have some resources. I'm going to copy and paste them over to you. Okay, but pretty much, and I also am trying to see how well you take notes.
Okay.
And so when you do this, this is fun and necessary. It's fun because I want to see how you research things and how you write them down, how organized you are in details or lack thereof. And it is necessary because it's easy to retaliate or have thoughts of retaliation. It's easy to have all these other thoughts. It's easy to have all these thoughts besides compassion and forgiveness because we don't know the why behind it. Why you got one of them down. You got one of them because they do it for fun and power. But there's also other reasons behind it too that I want you to see it for yourself. You have to see it for yourself. Because if I tell you, it's too easy. And I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to believe what I'm telling you. I want you to look up the answers yourself
Yep.
from reputable, credible sources online.
Okay.
Yeah. That way we move closer to forgiveness and we move closer to compassion. But it's something that I'm just tracking your mind to see how easy is it to move in changing. You know, a lot of people have difficulty changing, even in the midst of all of this information, persuasive information. So you know, it gives me a chance to know your mind better,
Okay.
know you and you your mind better. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So with the last couple of minutes that we have, let's practice mindfulness of the breath. Have you chosen which one works best for you?
I like the temperature one because I like how I'm focusing on the breath with that one and not counting in my head. So,
Any difficulties when you were practicing at home that you noticed?
um, there are some difficulties. I feel like I'm kind of impatient when I meditate because I would set like an alarm for 10 minutes, but I would kind of get impatient even though I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to focus on the breath. So,
And wonder why it's not ringing yet?
yes, yes.
Okay. Um, During your day, what is your activities all in one day?
Usually doing chores around the house, so sweeping, taking care of the dogs. Um,
And in those activities, which one do you find it most peaceful?
um, most peaceful. I guess sweeping the floor.
Just like us monks.
Yes.
You ever seen monks sweep the monastery?
No.
It's the most peaceful scenery ever. Okay, awesome, cool. Well, you just have to remind yourself that I'm meditating so that I can get better at managing my anxiety. So I have to be patient. And so right now, there's no need to actually keep track of time. Right now, what's important is to keep track of our thoughts during meditation, especially, you know, let's say if you had a job that requires you have to go back to work 9 to 5, then I would be concerned about the timing management. But if we're just doing simple chores, then you should be enjoying meditation and not to look at it as another chore.
Okay, so stop doing the timer and like don't set a timer at all. Just close my eyes and do it, and stop doing it when I feel like doing it.
Yeah, because when you set a timer, you now set an expectation. I set this at 10 minutes. I'm wondering why it still hasn't rung. And when you close your eyes, it can seem like hours when you're meditating.
Yes.
It can seem anywhere from 2 minutes to 2 hours as you close in your eyes. As a matter of fact, when I'm meditating, I actually lose track of time. I don't. I come to this. See that screen? It's black and blank screen. That's where I'm at when I'm closing my eyes. I'm closing my eyes and I focus on my breath. It's black and it's blank. And I start to like hone in on everything else, listening to like the sound of the fan that you hear, literally the fan. And then once my mind jumps to the sound of the fan, I move back into the in breath and the out breath. And if anything that is distracting, I change from one of the 4 techniques that I teach. So let us practice that now, huh?
Okay.
Are you comfortable in this position?
I'm fine here.
At this moment, let us back straight, shoulders relaxed. Relaxing all of the muscles on our face. Let us bring a small smile to our face. Let us take 3 deep breaths. In this moment, each person will choose their favorite technique in one of the 4 mindfulness of the breath. In this exercise, you are to have fun with the techniques, to have a new relationship with your breath. When the time is up, I will announce to you all to relax your concentration. During this exercise, we caution ourselves to breathe normally and not having to force the breath. Let us relax our concentration and slowly arise from our meditation for review. I just wanted to pause real quick. Do you feel like you have to force the breaths when you meditate?
No,
No?
no,
And that was normal breathing for you?
yes.
No. So now I just want you to just close your eyes and just breathe normal, because so Oscar, open your eyes for a second. You notice how when we're talking, exchanging information, you don't do that?
No.
Right. So tell me why when you close your eyes and meditate that you are breathing so hard. Is it an automatic response or?
Oh, because you're telling me to breathe in, so I'm breathing in
Mm-hmm.
and I'm breathing out.
You don't feel like you're forcing the breath?
To be honest, I think I feel like I am forcing it.
Right.
Right.
Why do we force it?
I think it's because I'm still new to meditation and I'm still learning how to do it. And because I'm new to it, maybe that's why I'm forcing the breath in and out.
So why don't you watch us? So let me demonstrate for you how to meditate, okay? So that you know. But I don't want you to put in all this effort and feel like it's really taxing. Because what you're doing, I feel like you're running like a marathon in your mind as you're meditating. And it shouldn't be that way. So the meditation is supposed to calm the mind. And in order to calm the mind, the body has to be calm. But you're breathing in such a way where it's like It's like the Titanic is sinking and you're trying to catch all the breath that you can before you go underwater, right? So the first 3 deep breaths is meant to remind the body that I'm now going to be in a relaxed mode. So the first 3, that's the only first 3. Okay, 3, not 30. Okay, so it's a now the first 3 is you do on your own pace, not according to anyone else's pace. So each person's first 3 could be slow or could be fast, but ideally you want it to be slow because when you take deep breaths, it brings in so much oxygen to your body and your brain that it's very calming and it kind of sets the stage for all your breaths there afterwards. Then after your 3 deep breaths, you're basically just breathing just like you would when you're listening to me. It's the same type of breathing. It's a normal, natural flow. All we're doing is bringing to mind our awareness of our breath, right? Because if we don't bring our awareness to the breath, then we would just start wandering around in our mind. The technique of trying to analyze the temperature of the room that you breathe is to bring that awareness back right here where the nostrils are and the upper lip and the nostrils. So air is coming into here, and that's when you start analyzing, is the room 70 degrees, 75 degrees, and so on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's times where you may need to take some deep breaths to really enhance the experience of trying to measure the temperature of the room. But I don't want you to be a human apparatus of forcing it. So you want it to be relaxed. If it is not relaxing, you can change mode. You don't have to stay at one thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay, so we can just take small jolts to try to feel the temperature. And sometimes you may not be able to right away because you're trying to hone in on that particular senses. It's no different than you're right-handed, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
right-handed.
So you right-handed naturally, and any of us here right naturally. And then I'm like, well, let's try with our left hand. You ever tried doing that before?
No.
Oh, it's very difficult and it's very sloppy, very sloppy. Just to spell hello would be like ELLO. So so I don't of course. So when you write it on a piece of paper, I know that it's not going to be straight in a line. I know that's going to be up, it's going to be down, it's going to be spaced out like this long or really tiny. People like start freaking out when they try the other hand. So so when we activate certain senses, we're not used to it, and it's important to just go slow. And if you're not sure, ask questions. I was able to detect something wrong with it just because it wasn't natural breathing, and I wanted to take a pause to explain it to you, rather than you going home and. Did you get that online? That technique online?
No.
No. So
Yes.
that technique is a Kundalini technique. I believe that's rooted in Hinduism. And some people actually close off one nostrils to really force their breath, and it doesn't really look peaceful to me. So, and then intermittent during mindfulness of the breath. Sometimes for new students, I know that their mind is jumping. They're trying to focus on their breath, but they'll think about past breakups or bills they got to pay. So I will jump in there with my voice and I will say, let us take 2 deep breaths. And the deep breath is meant to reset their mind in the moment, to reset it so that they're not stuck on just that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're not stuck on whatever is in the past or the present. Some students are afraid to ask questions. Some students, they're like, well, I can't really stop and ask because everyone's meditating. So I will automatically intermittent put these deep breaths in the middle of the mindfulness of the breath. Any questions so far?
So you said when I was breathing in and out, it was heavy. So I'm supposed to do it like light, or
You're not supposed to force the breath.
so
Forcing the breath is putting too much effort into it. It's a, see how you're breathing now?
Yes.
Yeah, I want you to breathe just like that. You're just noticing.
How do I not force the breath when I'm breathing in and breathing out?
You're the one who's controlling your breath.
So, so is it like this?
So let's practice this for a while. Is to close your eyes and then back straight. The only thing that is important is to know that the back is straight. You don't have to really force it to be stiff. Again, it's also a relaxed motion. What I don't want is people like slouching over, because slouching over could remind you that you're getting ready to go to sleep or it's too relaxed. So you want to make sure that the back is straight and not having to force it, and your shoulder is relaxed. And right now, I just want you to just breathe normal, as if breathe normal. That you're forcing it, just that's forcing it. Just breathe normal. This is as if you're looking. See, when your eyes are open, you're breathing normal. It's when you close your eyes and when you start forcing the breath. So I just want you to just breathe the way that you would, as if your eyes are open. Just like that.
So just close my eyes and do it like this.
Just like this, we're just experimenting for now. I just want you to just close your eyes and just breathe as you normally would without meditating. The only thing you're doing is closing your eyes. Just feel your stomach rising and falling as you're taking natural breaths. At this time, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's more calming, right?
Yes.
Much more calming.
Yes.
Right. So I think maybe we should start out with breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Which basically when you go home and you get ready to meditate, basically you just close your eyes. And I just want you to know when your tummy is rising and falling. Because right when the breath is coming in, it's rising, and the breath is going out, it's falling. And you do that for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, before you move on to analyzing the temperature of the air, because you don't know how to do that yet. That's what I identified today, is you don't know how to do that yet. So we start with baby steps, which is this, right? Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And part of knowing breathing in and out is the rising and falling of the abdomen. Okay, got to start out with gradually before we move on. That way you do it right. There's techniques and method to this. It can't happen overnight to master meditation. Mind you, I've meditated for 22 years, so it's a constant changing and knowing what to do and what not to do during the moments of each breath. Make sense?
Yes.
Any last questions?
So when I get home, do what I did just now, just close my eyes and feel my stomach,
Mm-hmm.
but don't inhale and exhale.
You would be dead if you didn't do that. You've been inhaling and exhaling this whole time.
So basically just do this. Just do it like that?
You were aware that this whole time you were breathing, right?
Yes.
That's it. That's all we're doing.
Okay.
Just breathe.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna start off gradually, baby steps in learning how to meditate,
Okay.
right? Because not inhaling, not exhaling, within a couple minutes you would be dead. You would be blue in color. Yeah, that would be a terrible thing. So the whole time you've been meditating, you were breathing the whole time. I'm just controlling the way how I'm channeling how to do it correctly with baby steps. These are little baby steps for someone like you who's new, and for anyone else who's watching is new to meditation. A lot of people freak out when they close their eyes. They're like, "Oh my God, it's dark! It's dark and it's black. I don't know what to do." And they're hearing instructions. And I don't know what to do with the instructions. So they're like, they try to keep up, and by keeping up, you can actually run out of breath and feel like you're running a marathon. Yeah. So you want to call them, make sure they're
Yes.
downstairs. You're doing great. I need you to keep writing, okay?
Okay.
Every day, keep writing.
Oh, ¿estás afuera? Okay, ya voy. Yes, she's outside.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so I want you to go back and write more. You're gonna research.
Bowling?
You're gonna ask Google, why do kids bully in high school?
Okay.
Okay, you were just high school, right? Middle?
It was both high school and middle school.
Okay, so look up both. Why do kids bully in middle school? Why do kids bully in high school? And I want you to take notes. I want you to educate me. I want you to tell me why they do it. So your job is, you're gonna become the teacher, I'm gonna become the student.
Okay.
And also, in the week, I want you to write more about every day what you do. I wanna know every day what time you wake up, what time you go to sleep, what time you sweep, and breaking up the times in the day, in that 12 hours that you were awake,
Okay.
okay? Because I want you to see patterns. You know, am I sleeping too much? Am I sleeping too little? Am I doing enough chores? Am I reading more? Am I writing more? Am I meditating more? We're practicing how to manage our days
Okay.
better. Mindfulness of our days. Make sense?
Yes.
You're doing great, all right? Thank you for your honesty, and we'll see you next Sunday, okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna update Venerable Lee on training, so. So what you learned from the session? Actually, let me see if I can. I'll call you in a bit. Okay. Tell me what you learned from this very insightful Sunday session.
He's got a lot of questions. He's very interested in Buddhism. And I almost want to say listening skills, deep listening skills, is not there. Because having to repeat mindfulness of the breath 4 times. I mean, he's trying.
Mm.
He's trying. It's not that he's not trying, but he's just not listening.
You know why he's not listening?
I mean, if I had to think, maybe, I don't know.
Know how to listen. He doesn't know how to breathe, nonetheless listen. And life has been hell for him since he came to meet us. Complete hell. Because we don't know the extent of the bullying. That is what this is the correct evaluation and assessment of the nature and intensity of a victim who has been bullied. And hopefully a lot of parents pay attention to these types of videos to understand the PTSD that comes there afterwards of it. So that's why with young students, be closely, carefully, meticulously, and sensitive to details. Some details they don't want to share. Some details fall into elements of criminal prosecution. And the perpetrator can still and may still can be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And some crimes that have been committed does not fall under the statute of limitation. So when students do not want to share the details, it may fall under that category, yet later to discover. But that's the problem. When they don't listen, it's because they don't know how to listen. And that's why the Sunday service now has become a training platform for you and for me. And I have to stop and slow myself down. It's no different than Professor Harari now talking to little kids. They got like 10-year-old kids asking him PhD level questions, and he's like, let me, like literally in his mind, he has to like slow down and explain it to them. Direct, quick, fast, and understandable for a 10-year-old to understand. No different than when I give my cognitive behavioral therapy out, and I say you need to study this and explain it to a 12-year-old to understand CBT. So he's doing good, and also the meditation, you see that. You have to know how to spot it, correct it, and find ways to explain it in a way where they get it. You know? Very important that, like, he doesn't know that he was forcing it. So you have to help him understand that that's forcing it. The definition of forcing a breath. And when he says, when you want me to go home and inhale or exhale, and I said, you were doing that the whole time. And then you didn't do it. If you didn't do that for a couple minutes, you would die. Imminent death. So you have to explain these to people who are new and who have possibly been a victim of a crime, because their mind is all over the place. So our job is to slow them down and speak form so that they understand clearly what's happening, what's unfolding, what to do and what not to do. Part of the authenticity of a teacher teaching meditation is exactly that, the patience of being a teacher. Because they can hurt themselves during meditation. They really can. And they can also fall into a very different type of hell during Vipassana meditation. So a skillful teacher has to really get baselines in the beginning. This is why some teachers jump into Vipassana right away without doing Samadhi, which is what we're doing. And that causes tremendous amount of harm. Harm that they don't even know that they're inflicting onto the student. They're now living a certain past lives, past experiences. So I'm proud. This is insightful for me because then when I write books, I have a lot of information to gather to write my training manual for the next emerging generation of monks. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us in today's Sunday session. That is turning out to be training for a lot of us and for future books that will be published as a result of meeting students in the modern day Gen Zoomers. And so hopefully that's been very insightful for all of you. It's a learning experience for me, for you, for the students, for all that is involved with the ever-changing world that we live in. So until the very next time, as I have to move on to my next assignment. Take care. And for people on TikTok, you guys can move to my YouTube for additional instructions on meditation and other teaching videos.